CERN became famous this past weekend. Yes, it's true. Elon Musk has responded to some of his commentary. CERN, I don't know. I'm shocked you're still on the channel. You're still speaking to me and stuff.
Yeah, it's funny. My wife and kids still treat me the same. I told my 6-year-old that Elon responded to me, and she just gave me this blank stare. So I guess it's not that important, Randy.
Yeah, you and Warren Redlich. Warren Redlich got added to the list of people that Elon follows. I mean, holy mackerel. And Warren is still going to be on my show this weekend. So I don't know. I guess friends remain friends. I guess it's okay.
That's right. No, it's all good. We learned some good things, which I think you've covered in your shows, but we'll discuss it a little bit today as well. Yeah, I've got some good stuff for you today.
All right, I think you do. I'm really excited about today's. Let's tee it up. Let's see what we got.
Sounds good. So let me bring up the slides here. How's that look?
Yeah, that's good.
All right. So we had some news this weekend, some discussion this weekend around bots. This is not my artwork, although it's pretty cool. This is from an NVIDIA presentation. And clearly they're showing bots making bots.
Yeah.
So there's some discussion about whether bots making bots is necessary, but it's more like industrial bots making bots for the most part.
Yeah.
I think it would be cool at the end of this assembly line if the last bot that comes off the line, turns on the next bot to come off the line. I think that would be fun, but we'll see how that all works.
Yes.
So one of the big sort of things from last week from the shareholder meeting was Tesla has a couple of bots doing useful work in a factory.
Right.
There was a short video. I think you've covered this, and this is pretty amazing. And of course, it brought about some additional questions. And so before we go there, this is kind of how it feels when Elon responds to your post. And it's funny because this just came out about an hour ago.
Oh, really? Okay.
Right. And I grabbed this and added it to the slides here. So it's funny because Elon then responded to this. So I'm not sure how it feels to have Elon respond to something when you're, saying how it feels that he responded the first time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of fun. Anyway, I think you've covered this pretty well, but just to review for some folks, here's kind of the series of posts and responses. At the annual meeting, Elon talked about how he thinks that bots could be worth, 25 trillion at some point.
Right.
And, Elon's a smart guy, but I decided to call him out on it. And I said, you know what, I think you're off by an order of magnitude. And I guess this post somehow got his attention.
Yeah.
And he didn't address the order of magnitude issue in my post, but he did say that bots would be offered as rentals and would be sold.
Right.
So that was good information because we really weren't sure what Tesla was thinking about that.
Right.
Okay. In the middle, Alex reposted my post and added some commentary to it. And Elon basically responded to Alex's statement, which said the $25 trillion Tesla bot valuation is too conservative. Which is what I was saying in my original post, and Elon's response was, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think you're going to get much more from Elon on that because, what's he to gain by saying, oh, yeah, it's really 250 trillion.
Yeah, right.
Right. It's 25 trillion is crazy enough. Like, let's not get too carried away. Guys like me can get as carried away as we want to because what reputation do I have to destroy?
Right.
Right. There's nothing to lose. And then also there was another tweet where Jensen was interviewed and he was basically saying humanoid bots will become as common as cars. And Elon's response was that they'll be 10 times more common than cars.
10 times more common.
And there's about 1.5 billion vehicles in the world. So 10 times that, if I do the math correctly, is about 15 billion.
Yeah.
At some point. This is not in 2 to 3 years, but at some point in the future.
Yeah, well, he's said for, I think ever since he's been talking about bots or humanoid bots, that it would be 2 to 3 per human. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily 2 to 3 in our houses, but in
No,
production lines and factories and warehouses,
right,
so on average, it might work out to two to
right.
three per human.
You could have humanoid robots just picking up the trash. I mean, the
Yeah,
numbers could be just huge in terms of the things that we don't even think about having humans do, but that bots could easily do and make our environment a lot nicer.
that's correct. And then, of course, we need to think about in the long run, bots, off-planet uses for bots.
Yes, absolutely.
So there
Yes.
really is no limit to the number that there could be.
Right.
Yeah. So this cartoon actually, I think, was made for me. Yep, it's lonely at the top. And I'm not so much saying that, I'm right or whatever. I'm just saying that my financial models for the Optimus robot were so large,
Yeah.
right? I was the only one out there with these crazy models. And over the weekend, some of this has kind of been validated a bit more.
Exactly.
Now,
Exactly.
again, I'm not suggesting that I'm right. I'm probably completely wrong with my models and my numbers. I know I am. But I think directionally, we're starting to see how this might shape up.
Well, I think it's funny, a little history lesson for those who have not been paying attention. Warren Redlich kind of started this crazy number stuff. I want to say 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, he called it his napkin math or back of the napkin math. And he would come up with these numbers and people were just laughing. When I started my show about 15, 16, 15, 18 months ago, about 18 months ago, when I started my show, then I became the new Warren Redlich, acolyte. And Warren was on my show a lot, and we would like try to outdo each other almost in terms of our numbers. But we were both kind of in the same range, and people were laughing. Then Scott came on, and Scott was on my show a number of times. And then Scott also would say, "Yeah, I think these numbers make sense." But then you came along, and you've ended up, kind of eclipsing us all. Your numbers are more outlandish, crazier, and who knows? You might be the guy that ends up being right
Well, I don't necessarily desire to be right or need to be right, but that would be pretty cool for many reasons.
for many reasons. Yes.
Right, for humanity's benefit,
Right, right, right.
primarily. And I'm not trying to be out there just to be out there. I'm
I
not really,
know, I know, I know. I
right?
wasn't either. Warren
Yeah,
wasn't either. We really believe the numbers. They
yeah.
just made sense. And now Elon is confirming them, and the world seemingly starting, even Gary Black. I mean, holy mackerel. So yeah.
Now there is a time frame associated with this, which I don't generally think about too much.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I don't know the timing of all this, but just in terms of where we're headed, it's clear.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
So speaking of where we're headed, we've got three companies that are in a three-horse race to be the largest companies in the world by market cap. And Nvidia, which was, I believe, a $10 billion company not so long ago,
Yeah.
is now on top of the heap.
Yep.
So who says that wealth creation can't happen quickly,
Yeah.
right? And this has been one of my points regarding AI and in robotics, is that if the value is there, if the value added is there with robotaxi, and Elon has said as much, right? That
Right.
robotaxi is the biggest instant value creation in the world,
Right.
biggest asset value increase in the world. Well, bots will be even bigger.
Yeah.
And right now, it's Nvidia that is powering that future, and we'll get into that a bit more in a second. But here's some more numbers. Number one market cap, number four in net profits, 208th in terms of number of employees. Stock return third, revenue 37th, and revenue growth number one.
Wow.
So pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And then as far as the market cap per employee, it's 102 million per employee. So those NVIDIA employees are pretty valuable.
Holy mackerel.
Pretty incredible. Apple and Meta, 19 million market cap per employee. So NVIDIA has shown everybody, what's possible
In the AI world.
in the AI world. And also interesting on here is Tesla, 4 million per employee. So for an auto company,
Right.
not bad.
Right.
Oops. So yeah, so that I think this is kind of interesting. Even Amazon and Walmart. I guess this is probably not the top 10. I think it's just a selection of companies here
Okay.
because
All right.
I don't think Walmart is, the 10th highest market cap per employee company.
Right.
But, so Tesla may not be number 6 on the list. What I'm trying to say.
Yes.
All right. Let's just take a step back, and I think your audience might benefit from some thoughts, I guess, some ideas around what AI really is.
Okay.
And I've taken this from a presentation that Jensen made recently in Taiwan at Computex 2024. And maybe some people have seen the whole thing. It's quite a lengthy presentation.
Right.
And I just want to summarize what I think is kind of a key concept. So NVIDIA's first contact with AI was in 2012. Okay, they made chips for basically gaming computers, and AI researchers discovered that maybe they could use these chips in their research to help them do the calculations that needed to be done. That was their first contact. And to their credit, they didn't send the AI researchers away. They had some discussions with them to learn what they needed. Fast forward to 2016, and they delivered their first AI supercomputer to OpenAI. And as you may know, one of the guys in the room is Elon Musk, and there's a photo there with Jensen. So this will be an important historical photo one day.
Historical. I mean, really, this is a slide that should be at the top of a lot of presentations.
Yeah. Okay, so that's 2016, first AI supercomputer to OpenAI. And then in November 2022, ChatGPT came out. It was calling the Big Bang of AI.
Yeah.
Right. And ChatGPT gained, I think it was 1 million followers in 5 days and 100 million in a month or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right. It broke all records in terms of adoption.
Right.
Okay. So what is going on here? The key concept, I think, that's important to understand is that we now have a way for computers to understand data and information in ways they could never before. So if you have, on the left side, if you have text, a computer can turn that text into a video, an image, audio. If you have audio, you can turn it into text. If you have an image, you can turn it into text. If you have an image, you can turn it into video. In the past, computers were, or AI was focused on perception and detection. Okay. And what this revolution has allowed us to do is generate knowledge, basically, is what we're talking about. Not or generate intelligence. I would go further than just knowledge, but intelligence. So we have unlocked an ability for computers to be intelligent. Now, these AI models are just in the early stages. I can imagine somebody in your audience saying, well, I've tried ChatGPT, it's not great, it makes mistakes. I hear you, but you know what? They're just beginning. Right. And there's already some amazing stories about what AI has done in terms of the protein folding problem and so on. I think there was an announcement a week ago where an AI program identified potentially 1 million potential new antibiotic compounds. Wow. They did a sample of 100 and 70% of them have promise. Wow. Of the 100 they sampled. And there's examples like that week after week of researchers in all kinds of fields using AI and applying it. So we are just beginning this journey. Yeah. Okay. What Jensen now talks about is this concept of an AI factory. Okay. And he says that AI factory and what they produce, which is tokens. And when you hear the word token, I want you to think of intelligence. Mm-hmm. Okay. And Jensen is saying that this is on par with the invention of electricity. Right. That electricity was such a fundamental building block. It's allowed humanity to get to places we could never have imagined. Mm-hmm. And all the things that we do with that. This is on par with that. We now have the ability to manufacture intelligence. Okay. And so that will be used just like electricity is, it'll be used absolutely everywhere for everything.
Right.
Every machine can now become intelligent. And we have a scarcity of intelligence on the planet. The scarcity it's because only the intelligence that we have is in our human minds. And very quickly that's changing, and we'll have equivalent, if not higher intelligence in machines as well.
And again, just to make it clear, because I can hear people thinking while you're speaking, because I am, and I know other people will be doing it. At this point in our intelligence of these machines, we're talking about speed, extrapolation, and interpolation. We're not talking about actual creativity, or a a mind that understands, is conscious in any way. Now, whether that comes in the future, huge debate. But anytime that you can speed up the process by hundreds of times or thousands of times, and then add the ability to do that speed while you interpolate or extrapolate from known information to new information, it's going to look like creativity, even though it isn't yet actually crossing that line.
That's right. We call this device a smartphone.
Right.
It's useless without us operating.
Right.
Right. But in the future, that device will have intelligence built into it. It will be able to autonomously do things. Same thing with a vehicle, right? Tesla is developing autonomous driving software so that vehicles can drive. You would say that the car is intelligent. It has intelligence if it can drive itself.
Right.
Right. Same thing with other machines. If you can make a humanoid robot that can operate autonomously, it has intelligence. So this AI factory idea, to me, a great way to think about it is producing intelligence.
Right.
Okay, that's going to go in absolutely everything. Why wouldn't we want intelligent machines?
Right. Yes.
Right. Why have a dumb machine if it can be intelligent?
As Elon loves to point out, we would never want to go back to the time where we had an elevator operator
Yeah.
trying to make sure that the elevator lined up exactly with the floor.
That's right. And so Jensen says, I believe that anything that moves will be autonomous. Right. So it's not just limited to vehicles.
Right.
And if he hasn't said this, I would go as far to say anything that's a machine will be intelligent. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
If this intelligence is going to be so cheap, then why not make everything intelligent to the degree that it's useful?
Right.
Right. So the shift that we're seeing is from the software-centric world where we've programmed software to retrieve information. Think about Google.
Mm-hmm.
Google's great. You're searching, you're retrieving information from the internet. Okay. And the central processing unit was the driver of that revolution. It's great. We've gone a long way with that. Fantastic. Okay. Now we have an AI factory. It is now, we're generating knowledge and intelligence from it. We're not retrieving it anymore. Right. So that's the difference. We used to be retrieving information and knowledge from software. Now we're using this AI factory to generate intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Large language models, what's involved, and it's the GPU is the semiconductor that's driving this.
Right.
Jensen has talked about that there's $1 trillion invested in CPU technology, and it all needs to be redone in GPUs. This future world. Right? It's like saying we don't have electricity, now we have to wire the world with this new foundational technology, and that foundational technology is GPUs. So I just want to give people some understanding of why NVIDIA is taken off so much, what's going on here. And yes, they're selling semiconductors and chips, but the reason is that they're allowing companies to build AI factories that will generate intelligence.
Right.
Okay? The companies making these investments are by and large the big tech companies. And this is some history here for 20 years of their CapEx. And you may have heard the term hyperscalers.
Right.
Microsoft, Meta, Amazon, Oracle, Alphabet. This is showing their CapEx spend over time. These companies are plowing a ton of money into AI, and you can see the step change from 23 to 24. Okay, and we may just be getting started.
Right, right.
Right, from 133 billion to 181 billion. Okay.
Yep. Oh.
And here's an example. This is, I believe, from yesterday. Dell, we're building a Dell AI factory. So you'll start hearing this term. Nvidia has coined the term AI factory. Companies like Dell and others are going to be saying, yes, we're building AI factories. And in this case, they're buying Nvidia chips to power Grok for xAI. Okay, and I think there was an announcement a week or two ago about xAI building a big data center in Memphis, Tennessee, if I'm not
Memphis,
mistaken.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think I incorrectly said Nashville yesterday, but Memphis, yeah. And this, I'm hope I'm not getting ahead of you, but this morning, one of the, I forget which one of the analysts said it. They are now thinking that the that the Elon world will start to become even more attached, so that xAI, Tesla, Neuralink, SpaceX, that the things that they all do uniquely will become more and more of an ecosystem as we start to put Starlinks in our cars, as we start to have Grok in our cars, as Grok is on our robots, etc. And Elon said yesterday, I believe it was, that we won't have telephones in the future, that it will be Neuralink to Neuralink. So we have this kind of amazing ecosystem that is going to be driven by this factory in Memphis.
That's right. Yeah, in part, for sure. Yeah. It's very clear. And to all those people that say that, Elon's been a part-time CEO to Tesla, you're actually going to enjoy the fact that he was a part-time CEO, that all these other ventures, it's all going to come full circle, create this ecosystem that helps all those companies out. Absolutely. So let's think about some of the things that may become possible. This again is from Jensen's presentation. So simple things, right? Like a call center. If you can have AI make that experience, better, faster, cheaper, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, it's at the expense of human jobs, absolutely. But you know what? Every technology is at the expense of human jobs.
Yes, forever.
Right. We used to have telephone operators. You talked about elevator operators. We've lost millions and millions of jobs, but you know what? We've always created millions and millions more. Okay.
Yep.
Meeting transcription. Every single meeting could just be transcribed in real time. Okay. And it's also when you think about people in different parts of the world, people can talk to each other in different languages, and the AI automatically just translates in real time.
Right.
So the language barrier goes away instantly. Okay. Public safety. You can install, well, there's already 1 billion smart city cameras deployed. Now it's taking that information, all that data that those cameras are collecting, and actually doing something with it.
Yeah.
And having some intelligence around that. AI can be monitoring that and picking out what needs to be, selected and acted on. Right.
Yes.
Oh, a crowd is gathering in front of this place. Let's alert the police or something.
Yeah, and of course, maybe among the various things that we're going to have to figure out in the future, we're already in the process of trying to figure it out. I watched. I think it's a great philosophical question that goes through my mind every time I'm watching cop shows that are based in Britain, where I'm rooting for the cops to use the cameras to catch the guy. But I'm sitting there going, I don't know if I want that. I don't know if that degree of privacy or lack of privacy is a good thing. So this will be a huge question going forward.
There's pros and cons for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Here's another one: retail stores, right? So cameras in the stores, monitoring, making sure people aren't taking things. You can have an AI system doing that and not have to employ 1,000 people looking at cameras.
Well, it's interesting that he only talks about retail protection. As somebody who's written a bunch of books on retail stores, the bigger issue probably in the future is already, actually, it's not even the future, it's already happening now, is an analysis of traffic patterns, keeping track of what people are buying, actually knowing the customer when they walk in the door, having it in the system and alerting the right clerk to go take care of that particular employee, I mean, that particular customer. So all kinds of ways that AI is employed at retail.
Many, many ways. AI in the medical field has tremendous promise. There was, I think, a recent study done that showed that AI in conjunction with doctors leads to less misdiagnoses, better treatment plans. Just having that AI assistant on the doctor's shoulder looking at everything, it just makes, you know, the medical profession so much better.
One of the
imaging and diagnosing, all that, looking at scans, AI is already showing its ability to be better than even some of the best doctors out there.
Yeah. And in fact, I think that it will be, this is, I haven't seen this anywhere else, but I'll say it again on this channel. I think that a doctor will be accused of malpractice if they don't run everything through AI at some point.
That's right. Industrial inspection, looking at things in factories and plants to make sure that everything's good.
Oh, yeah.
Right. That's great. Transportation, right? Autonomous vehicles. We've talked about that a lot. Credit card fraud. AI can track trends better than any other system could and head off credit card fraud. And so on. These are just some examples that he put up. These aren't
your last one. You know, you just flipped right past it. The product recommendations. Nicholas Gibbs on Tuesday says he thinks Amazon will actually pass Nvidia and Microsoft and Apple as the largest cap company here in the next 5 years, and be the first one to 5 trillion because of the product recommendation capabilities that AI is going to unlock. And Amazon has talked about it.
Yeah. No, I would not disagree with that. I think Nick is spot on with that thinking. As for the prediction, that remains to be seen, but the company is definitely headed in that direction. Also, Amazon is a big investor in robotics.
Right.
And they will deploy humanoids and other robots in their warehouses and distribution centers aggressively.
Right.
Yeah. Everything that moves will be autonomous. And this is a slide from an earlier presentation from Jensen. So you've got systems in the warehouse moving stuff around. You've got all kinds of delivery bots. You've got agricultural equipment that can be autonomous.
By the way, let me just stop you on that one again.
Yeah.
There, again, we should do a whole show on this sometime. The potential for third world and even second world countries to even get into tractors for the first time. They're still using animals. They're still using human labor, but using a combination of batteries and autonomy, they will be able to get inexpensive tractors that will change everything about agriculture in those countries.
That's right. Yep. And then various autonomous machines in retail and industrial uses. So this is not just about humanoid bots, although I think that's going to be the world's largest industry one day.
Right.
But every machine, everything that moves can be autonomous. That's what we're talking about in terms of the long-term potential. Yeah. Okay, so that was kind of the little teaching on NVIDIA and kind of what's going on. There's a lot more to it. I would strongly encourage people to watch Jensen's full Computex presentation. I think it's about an hour and a half long. It's great. You'll learn a lot watching it. You know, if people get tired of listening to Elon and his projections, go listen to Jensen.
Yeah.
I recommend paying attention to both of those guys, but Jensen is also great. Okay, so the stock market recognizes the opportunity for NVIDIA, right? The stock, as of today, I think is up 180% this year, right? Meta has done pretty well. It's up 43. Netflix up 40. Google's up 27. Amazon's up 21. Microsoft is up 20. The S&P's up 15. Apple's up 13. It's come back a bit. And then we've got a little company called Tesla at the back end here.
Yeah, I know.
That for some reason, the market doesn't see the AI opportunity in Tesla. And the point that I've been making, or been trying to make, is that Tesla and NVIDIA are riding exactly the same AI wave.
Right.
Now, NVIDIA is ahead of Tesla in the sense that they're monetizing it now. They're selling chips. They're providing the systems for this AI wave to move forward. So absolutely. But Tesla and Meta and Google and Microsoft and Amazon and Apple and others are riding the same wave.
Right.
Okay. So it's interesting. There's a massive disconnect, in my opinion, with how the market is treating NVIDIA and how the market is treating Tesla.
Right. Now, Gary Black, probably his best post ever, which I reported on this morning. Gary Black says, well, yes and no. If you just have a car company in Tesla, it's probably should be trading at $80. He didn't say that, but I'll extrapolate from what he said. But, might be trading under $100 right now if it's just a car company, because it's flatlined in terms of growth. And so the PE should come down dramatically. So the rest of whatever's in there now, that extra 100 points or so, is in fact the optionalities on this AI side of things.
Yeah, I would disagree with Gary. He's good to get the Wall Street perspective. Very, very, very short-sighted in terms of, focused on growth this quarter, this year, or whatever time period he's looking at. Wall Street doesn't look out very far.
Right, right.
And that's what that reflects.
Right.
Yes, Tesla is valued at something more than just a traditional car company. Yes, I would give him that. But Tesla has not factored in the value of the AI opportunity.
Right.
Right. And you can take some of the work that I've done, some of my models, and assign probabilities to some of the numbers. You will get a valuation of Tesla far beyond where the stock is trading at today.
Yeah, and other famous people like Cathie Wood, Randy Kirk, and others have agreed with you.
Yeah. I don't know that Cathie has agreed with me, but our thinking is in parallel for sure. Yeah. All right. So what I wanted to talk about now is you're going to see more and more of discussions along these lines. Oh, we've never had such a concentration of market cap in our history or since X date, right? Microsoft, Apple, and Nvidia now are 21% of the S&P, just three companies.
Right.
Right? This can't happen. This can't continue. Oh my gosh, the sky is falling. No, it can continue. What we're talking about is a fundamental change to our economy, right? We're putting intelligence into absolutely everything. Who's doing that? Nvidia, Microsoft with OpenAI, Apple with their products, with Apple Intelligence and other things. Every company now has the opportunity to use this new electricity, right? Every time I do that, I get confetti. Great. I better watch what hand gestures I use.
Yes, right.
Yeah. Right. So the point is that this is so foundational that we are likely to see actually more of this. Right. And so this is actually maybe not a sign of something that's crazy and that needs to revert back to the mean. It's a sign of a massive change. And these massive changes don't come along very often. Right. So we're seeing it now, certainly in the S&P hitting a number of all-time highs. This is something we pay attention to every now and then. So far, it's been 31 this year.
Right.
That's not out of whack with historical trends. Sometimes when the S&P is doing well, it hits a lot of highs each year. We had a nice string here from 2013 through 22. Anyway, that's just one data point. The year-to-date performance, the first 117 trading days, the S&P is up 15%. It's never had this kind of return in an election year before. So some people look at this and say, oh, the market's happy with the current presidential regime. Yeah. Oh, the market is looking forward to a new one. No, neither of those. In my opinion, the market is looking at what is fundamentally happening with companies like Nvidia and Apple and Microsoft and others.
Yeah, in fact, as opposed to, I'm saying that it's time for a pullback. You may have heard me say that over the last few weeks. It's time for a pullback. It's time for a pullback. And I think it is technically time for a pullback. But fundamentally, there's no reason in the world, at least on these magnificent 7, 8, however many you want to count, these top stocks that are all in this game, there's no fundamental reason for a pullback.
Yeah, and I would expect pullbacks at any point in time. The markets go up and down, and absolutely, I'm not suggesting the markets goes to the moon and stays there. There's always going to be fluctuation. So that's that. But I would go on the record and say, if you think what happened in the dot-com boom was crazy, well,
You ain't seen nothing yet. Yeah, right.
because I'm echoing what Jensen is trying to communicate to everybody. This is a foundational change
Yes.
in our world that I don't think many people understand yet. If this is on par with electricity, if we are putting intelligence into absolutely everything, then we have the ability for a step change in GDP. Right?
And you can go further than that, because his description of this being similar to electricity in terms of the AI providing that kind of foundational stuff, you and I think, would agree that robots are the equivalent of the wheel.
Yeah.
The humanoid idea is the equivalent of the wheel. It is going to change even more than the electricity would have.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we're just beginning to develop autonomous vehicles. We're just beginning to develop autonomous humanoid robots and other technologies. And so we are in the early stages, right? If this might be 1995 in terms of the internet.
Right.
Boom.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm not suggesting that we have another 4 years of, markets go up. There's all kinds of things can happen in the meantime, but just fundamentally from what's actually happening, this is a big one. This is a big foundational change. I would agree with Jensen.
Yep.
And the markets are going to do what the markets are going to do, and it's going to be, at times crazy up and crazy down. I can't predict that. This is kind of a cute cartoon. It's his Mad Max position, and it's the bull on the front of this vehicle. I guess they're going full speed.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I'm not sure how the bull is propelling this vehicle, but the bull does look a little concerned. I would give it that. Anyway, so here we're going to see more discussions like this, right? The Russell 1000 Growth Index is at its highest value relative to the Russell 1000 since July 20 of 2000. Oh, by the way, that was the peak of the dot-com boom. Therefore, this time we must also be at a peak. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Right? Sell your growth stocks by value. And maybe that will be true in the short term, but it's important to understand what's really going on here besides just looking at charts like this. Okay. Now it is true from July 20, the year 2000 through July 2020 of 2007, value outperformed growth. Sure, those value stocks came back. That was a good place to be. All those people that invested in those internet companies were destroyed for the next 7 years.
Right.
Okay. But fundamentally, the internet did make a big change. It has changed our world. Okay. What's going on with AI is even bigger.
Right.
Okay. All right. Another one is, oh my gosh, this reminds us of Cisco Systems. So AJ did a nice comparison here of Nvidia compared to Cisco during Cisco's peak valuation in the year 2000. Okay. There's a lot of data on this chart.
A lot of data, yeah.
Okay, but one thing I think to focus on is on the far right here. The implied PE right now for Nvidia is like 56.
Right.
Whereas for Cisco, it was like 134. So if you think Nvidia's valuation is crazy, well, Cisco had a crazier valuation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Peaked at like 180 times earnings, maybe even 200 at one point.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and even then, Cisco actually has done well fundamentally as a company since then. Okay, but it is true. Nvidia may suffer the same fate as Cisco at some point. The stock may well get ahead of itself. We don't know that yet. But just to look at two charts and say, oh my gosh, look at Cisco and it went up and down. Well, Nvidia's the same thing's gonna happen to Nvidia. That may be the case, but you still need to understand what's going on here. And Jensen's talking about there being $1 trillion that has been invested in data centers around the world. And that trillion needs to be reinvested into GPUs.
Right.
And he's even suggested that we won't just replace what we have, we'll also grow it. So it might be $2 trillion needs to be invested. If that's the case, if he's anywhere near right, then Nvidia is just getting started.
Right. And with those margins. Now, that's the thing that could come down a bit. So we don't know. There might be competition from his customers as well as from other chip suppliers. The competition might come in and at least force the margins down.
Yeah. And I'm not sitting here today making the case for NVIDIA. I'm not recommending that at all.
Right.
What I'm just trying to say is, please understand what this AI revolution really means.
Yes.
Right. And it's all about generating intelligence and what that could mean for our economy. It's huge. But absolutely, there'll be bumps in the road, guaranteed.
Yep.
Right. Okay. Markets. Year to date, best performing stock is not NVIDIA, but Supermicro, which is a company that builds basically data centers. So I showed a slide earlier with Dell doing the deal with xAI to build a data center. Apparently, Dell has half of the contract. Supermicro has the other half. I believe, if I've got that information right. Anyway, you can see a number of semiconductor companies doing well this year.
Right.
That's one that seems to jump out on this list. And then on the flip side, we've got a few companies that are down 40%. Some in the 30s. Tesla's also on this list.
Yep.
Down 28% at the time that this was cut on June 14th. Okay. Randy, if it looks like a duck.
Yep.
If it walks like a duck. If it quacks like a duck. See, everything's ducky. And the duck is inflation.
Uh-huh.
All right, so let's talk about our favorite topic for a little bit.
Okay.
All right, so May CPI.
Actually, you know what I'm going to do right here?
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a cut.
Oh, okay.
We're going to come back to this next time. So
that's great.
That presentation, I think, was a complete presentation. I think CERN maybe an all-time. That, in fact, is probably the thumbnail that people just read. They just looked at this thumbnail that said, and the all-time best CERN, anyway, or something like that. So
it's a low bar, Randy. It's a low bar.
let's end that presentation now, and then we'll pick up and we'll go into round 2 of today's effort, and then that will probably be out on Sunday, maybe Saturday, maybe Sunday. But CERN, let me thank you again for all that you do for the channel and for the folks out there. And keep in mind that CERN does this for a living. And if you're an investor and you're ever looking for somebody to talk to about your investments, might be a good thing to call up CERN Basher for that. And I did, and he didn't pay for that lovely, advertisement that I just did for him. Anyway, CERN, thanks for today, and let's go ahead and we'll continue this on another day.
Thanks, Randy.
Oh yeah, we have to. There we go. I'm still.